Well, the twins are together again. So the machine on the left is a 1988 Heritage 2 Legend. And you notice it's got a little hole right here. So we'll designate that one as the Florida machine because that's where I got it from. The one on the right is an Ohio machine. So that machine specifically is my very first Kirby I got back in 2014. Now the machine on the left has gone through a complete refurbishment that you saw in an earlier video. And the machine on the right at least has been hand polished and sanded multiple times, but I haven't taken my high-speed buffer and actually made it really shine. I don't know how well it shows up on this video, but the shine on the left one is quite a bit better than the shine on the right one. So let's compare a machine that has not only a complete refurbishment, but has new front and rear motor bearings to a machine that certainly is cleaned and it's got the same new fan in it and it's got kind of a hand polish, but has original bearings in it, or at least bearings that probably haven't been touched in maybe more than 10 years, maybe even 20, although the machine isn't doing that bad. So let's do a couple of turn on and wind down tests and see if you can hear some of the subtle differences. So we'll start out with the brush rolls both spinning. Okay, here's the Florida machine. Here's the Ohio machine. Hard to hear, but there is a little bit of a difference, but the difference is definitely small. So let's see if I can hear more of a difference by turning the brush rolls off. Okay, here's the Florida machine. Here's the Ohio machine. All right, not a whole lot of difference, but this one I can still tell needs some bearings and a better polish. So how about we go and break down the Ohio machine and get this one looking and sounding good. Hopefully at least as good, if not better than, the Florida machine. you what's in here. Chunky. Eesh. Unbelievable. I think this looks pretty much okay. So this is the challenge today. Here we are outside, and it's brisk. It's a very brisk November afternoon, maybe 51 degrees Fahrenheit. So this ought to be fun, polishing all this stuff up to a mirror finish, I hope. Stay tuned for the results. just like in the previous Heritage 2 Legend video, don't do this at home, just watch me do it. Because if something flies off, bad things are going to happen. So let's see if I got everything right, or if I did something wrong. And before I do this, I actually do want to show, we still have a little bit of a problem here, and it's this. See that? It's loose. So I got to fix something right in there. All right, let's see if we have power. We have power. And let's see if the fan spins and sounds okay. And the light comes on. Oh, that's really smooth. Yeah, see, I can't really show that to you very well because it just falls over. Thunk. So I have to fix that before we put this motor back in here. But do you hear how smooth this thing is now with the new bearings and everything? So really wonderful. Okay, so I have an idea. Then look, I know there's lots of ways to solve this problem. You can go and extract this pin and then bend it or put a new pin in or rough it up and then put it back in again. So I got an idea here. I got a couple of nails, or rather just the very tail ends of the nails. Pound it in just a little bit. I will score it with this little guy, and then I will go ahead and Dremel off just the tip, and there we go. So that tightens it up a bit. If you wanted to try this method, or you could try whatever else you like. So now we're all done. I got my little end nail tip pieces pounded and Loctited in, and as you can see, this stays where you put it. I have it done on both sides, right there. So that's one way to take care of the problem, I suppose. You might like it, you might not. So let's talk about using sealant on these casings right here. So I have some nice little silicone gasket maker that I do periodically use on some of my leakier Kirbys. My dual Sanitronic 80 was a great example. The casting quality of the metal parts back in the 1960s was terrible. And you got all kinds of gaps in there, and it really needed some sealant, and it was blatant. But the newer G series especially, usually if you properly sand, wire brush, and prepare these surfaces properly, you may not necessarily need to use this. What is a good way to test if you choose not to use this? Well, what I do is I put the whole machine together, and I go and clean a couple of 1,000 square feet, do a few whole house carpet cleanings, and then I run my finger along the edge. And if my finger comes up dirty, even if it's slightly dirty, then I'll go ahead and put some gasket maker on there, right? And it's not a big deal. It's like 5 screws or whatever it is, and I can take this thing apart, you know, put some gasket maker on there and slap them back together, and we're all fine. We're good to go. But not all of my G series Kirbys really require anything like this. Recently, I did my G4 and I got a little chunk out of one of these edges, and it did actually start to leak. So I went ahead and put the gasket maker back on there and made a good gasket. We're all sealed up again. It was kind of hilarious. I saw a little dog hair sticking through, and I went, oh yeah, we need to go ahead and put the gasket maker back on there. But most of my newer Kirbys, the seal is so tight, it's so fantastic that it's just not really necessary. And, you know, I do airflow and suction tests to verify this in addition to the good old finger test, and I don't have any problems. So bottom line, it's recommended to put this on And if you see a video where I don't, it's because for whatever reason, I didn't really find it necessary to do so. But, you know, it's your choice. But if you do actually test for leaks and you find some leaks via like a finger test or other stuff sticking through, then by all means, put some gasket maker on there, make yourself a good seal, and be done with it. The very machine, the exact vacuum cleaner that started my hobby, has been totally, completely refurbished. New bearings. I gave it a new brush roll back in probably 2014, and it's in fine shape. The headlight hood now actually stays where you put it, which is wonderful because it had been slamming down for quite a long time. So let's first listen to the motor, the wind up and the wind down. So if anybody has one of these, you can use this as a sound reference to check your bearings. Brush roll is spinning. Wonderful. Nice and fast, both winding up and winding down, and of course totally smooth, because that's what new bearings gives you. let's give it its formal test run. Okay, thanks for watching, and the twins are now fully ready to go for the rest of their lives, or maybe the next 20 years, whichever comes first. So this is the Ohio one that I got here, and that's the Florida one that my mom had down in Florida briefly. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. Okay, so just had to do this. Exactly the same, at least motor-wise.